This evening we are joined by Pastora Erica Lea-Simka from Albquerque Mennonite Church in New Mexico. She has been pastor at several churches all across the country, really. And she has been with the Mennonites at least for a few years. She joined Albquerque right around the same time that I joined our family here about 3 years ago, 2017 or so. The first time I heard of her, it was in the Mennonite and Sojourners and some other magazine, sharing that she is the first senior pastor who is openly LGBTQ, which for some is a surprise that it took so long. Some it's a surprise that it ever happened at all. But thankfully, we have Pastora Erica's witness and faithfulness and work to be a light to us as we move forward as one body together. So welcome, Pastor Erica.
Thank you, Pastor Jason. Yes, I am so pleased that I am not the only out lead pastor now. We're taking over, so watch out. That's a joke. All right. I've really been looking forward to being with y'all today. Pride Month is kind of my favorite. I think of it as like gay Christmas. So yay, happy Pride Month, everyone. And I might have met one or two of you before, but I'm not really sure. And so whenever we're getting to know people, we often say, well, when I lived in DC, it's what's your name and what do you do? In other places, it's more what's your name and where are you from? So I've written a poem about where I'm from. This is where I'm from. I am Erica, daughter of Rebecca, granddaughter of Jimmy and Judy, great-granddaughter of Faye and Marion, born in Miami, raised in Houston. My religious heritage is a recipe for disaster. 1 cup Baptist, 1 pint Mennonite, 3 tablespoons Episcopal, a sprinkling of agnostic with a Jewish marinade, simultaneously Enneagram 1, 4, and 5, touchy-feely, writer of wrongs, pastor, partner, herbivore, bleeding heart, gay, straight edge, eco-feminist, Texas expat, down with the struggle of minorities, recovering passive aggressor, type A minus, survivor, woman human, divine bearer of good news, beloved, this is where I'm from. How do you answer that question? Where are you from? I imagine if Jesus wanted to be literal and perhaps in keeping with his custom, he might list his ancestors: son of Joseph, grandson of Jacob, great-grandson of Mathan, great-great-grandson of Eleazar, and so on. If he was feeling particularly obnoxious, he might say, I am who you say I am. If he was feeling particularly otherworldly, he might say, I am, and look off into the distance with an aloof expression. If he was feeling particularly preachy, he might say, I am the way, the truth, and the life. Would Jesus say he was an outsider, a refugee on the run for his life as an infant? I don't know. Maybe it depends on who's asking and where he was. Matthew tells us that Jesus was born in Bethlehem. Then Joseph was instructed to take the family and flee to Egypt. Then the Holy Family settled in Galilee and Nazareth. Where are you from? That question is just about as tricky as, who are you? In our passage today from John 20, Jesus addresses Mary Magdalene in 2 different ways, woman and Mary. Some people will read Jesus's use of woman as disrespectful because to call someone woman in English these days has quite a negative connotation. However, this is the same way he addresses Mother Mary previously, and you know he didn't go around sassing his mama. So Jesus also calls other people man or woman. There are certainly cultural dynamics at work here. Perhaps in this case, Jesus calls Mary Magdalene woman to signal that he sees her for who she is, or what she is. She is a woman who is weeping and searching. Mary Magdalene makes herself seen, then Jesus makes himself seen. The pivot point of this passage is when Jesus calls her by her name, Mary. John says Mary Magdalene turned to Jesus when he speaks her name. She then sees Jesus for what he is, calling him Rabboni, a variation of rabbi or teacher. At the end of today's passage, she shifts from referring to Jesus as what he is, rabbi, to who he is, Lord. This shift, both Jesus and Mary Magdalene make from seeing each other's what, then who, is a sacred shift we're called to make as well. Every once in a while, I'll post on Facebook with my to-do list or my schedule for that day, and I'll call it my homosexual agenda. This is a snarky way of responding to my hate mail authors or people in some of my former circles who hear my name and see a neon flashing rainbow sign that says gay and not much else. Yes, I am gay. I'm a lot of other things too. And sadly, these folks are so stuck on the what of me, they have taken zero time to know the who of me. Maybe you know the feeling. Do you ever sense that other people see you as one-dimensional? They see you as old or young, thin or fat, man or woman, American or immigrant, white or black, loud or quiet, as if those were the only options, tiny binary boxes. Are not sunrise and sunset these great in-between times the most beautiful in the sky? To clarify, I'm not suggesting that we go up and down the subway asking probing questions of strangers so we can see beyond assumptions we make about one another. We make these assumptions as a cognitive shortcut to make sense of the world around us as quickly as possible. It's a survival instinct to recognize, appreciate, and also to work beyond. We are more evolved than these cognitive shortcuts, or at least we can be. When Jesus calls Mary Magdalene by name, he communicates that he knows her and sees her in a personal way. It's no wonder that Dan Brown of the Da Vinci Code novel Infamy and his groupies have speculated or theorized that Jesus and Mary Magdalene had a relationship beyond disciple, apostle, or rabbi. At the heart of intimacy is the ability to be safely seen and recognized. This is good news for folks in need of being lifted up and seen. This is often perceived as bad news for folks on top of the heap who think there isn't enough space for everyone to be lifted up and seen. Maya Angelou famously suggested there are 4 critical questions people need answered in order to experience a sense of community. 1, Do you see me? 2, do you care that I'm here? 3, am I enough for you? And 4, am I important to you? Calling each other by the right name, and I'll add by the right pronouns, communicates recognition of the what and the who of each other. This calling and knowing is divine, is Christ-like, and is part of being a beloved community. Calling each other communicates, yes, I see you. Yes, I care, you are here. Yes, you are enough. Yes, you are important. God enthusiastically answers yes to all 4 of her questions. We are called to do the same with one another. To appreciate and celebrate one another is yet another way to love God, the Creator, and to love neighbor, the created. We are called to name racism and sexism and xenophobia and ageism and ableism and more when we see it. We're also called to name gifts, needs, callings, concerns, and encourage one another. We are called to be resurrection people, naming ourselves and one another as God's beloved. God sees us and invites us to know them. God knows us specifically and intimately, individually and communally. God is a both and intersectional God of love. May we be like Mary Magdalene, knowing who we are, responding to our name being called by the divine, called to step out with purpose, calling out to the divine, searching for the what and the who of God, of ourselves, and of one another. Let it be.